Midway through my second beer, I got a text from a number I did not recognise. You nice man, Law, you should not trust her. Holy cow, I felt sick. My friends noticed me turn pale. I kept the message to myself and made an excuse about the intentional difficulties to get out of there. I knew it. Back at my condo, I replied, "Who is this?" No answer. Not until the middle of the next day. The next message came. It was from her sister in Phuket. She apologised for using a different number but said she wanted to stay secret and she did not know much English. I told her it was okay to use Google Translate, just keep the sentences short. The story came out. She knew I had visited Law's hometown. She knew I had met the family. But what I did not know, what her mother had been yelling about, was that Law was still married and it was wrong to bring foreign men to visit. Married, not divorced. I told her I thought Law divorced him. She said he was in prison for substance abuse. Yes, half true, her sister admitted. They were still legally married, but the real story was Law was the one involved and her husband took the blame. He was due to be released soon and they needed money. My head spun. I asked, "Was your rent problem real?" "Yes," she replied. "That is why I know you're a good man." And the school closed for Law's daughter. That was true too. She is a good girl, she confirmed. I thanked her and told her not to worry. But the ground under my feet did not feel solid anymore. I felt stupid. Could I even think straight about this anymore? I called my sons and told them the story. They laughed and called me an idiot. I totally deserved that. But they understood and helped me keep my cool. They reminded me my divorce had been straightforward and without drama. They trusted I could get out of this the same way with open, honest communication. They are really turning into fine young men. Next, I called my beer drinking friends and asked them to meet me and bring their Thai partners. We met up and I got an earful. Their partners did not sugarcoat it. They both made it clear this would not end well, especially if Law knew she was caught. They told me to protect myself and end it quickly. Law and I exchanged a few texts over the next 2 weeks. Nothing deep, just updates about her dad, her daughter and the weather. 2 weeks later, Law returned. I had changed the key code on the door. Only I could get in now. I had her things packed and ready to go. I met her at Makasan station and brought her back. I think she sensed something was up. She was quiet, did not hold my hand like she used to. When we got to the lobby of my building, I sat her down in one of the chairs. "We need to talk," I said. She cut me off right away. "You break up with me. You kick me out. I know it." Wow, I was flattened. Part of me expected a knife to fly out of her sleeve, but that did not happen. I simply said yes. Her bags were already downstairs. I asked the man at the front door to bring them out. Law looked mad, maybe on the edge of tears, but she kept her composure. I did not demand the money back. I did not make accusations. I figured the least I could do was let her save as much face as possible. I knew she still had her apartment with most of her stuff, so she wouldn't be homeless. She took her bags, I called her a grab taxi, and she was gone. Looking back, would I do it again? Was it worth it? I don't know. Needless to say, I do not go to her bar on Soi Cowboy anymore. Okay, so something that tricks guys quite often. So you've got the girls who work in the go-go bars and the regular bars and everything, and then you have the waitresses. And the Western mentality is like, okay, these girls are working, they're up on stage, they're dancing, but the waitresses could do that, but they don't. They're obviously earning less money because they've decided to be waitresses rather than dance on stage. And that gives a false sense of they look at the girl and think, well, she's a decent girl because she doesn't do that. I'm going to say a decent girl, not being derogatory, saying, they're all bad girls. What I'm trying to say to you is that they do go off with guys. So if you're in a go-go bar and you're getting served by your waitress or a waitress you see, most of the time you can buy her a drink and she will go out of the bar with you, if you know what I mean. Trying to keep it clean for YouTube here, working around it. So those waitresses will go out with you. And a lot of guys get caught out because what happens, they're sitting there, they're looking at the girls in the environment. The waitress comes across, she gives this story about, she hasn't got a lot of money. She's taking care of her daughter. She has to work 12-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts. She's a waitress and she works hard, and guys genuinely think, well, this girl is a nice, honest, hard-working girl. She doesn't go with guys, and that a lot of guys fall into that trap because they think because she's a waitress she can't possibly be a working girl, and most of the time she is, or she'd be a waitress in a regular bar, right, or a restaurant, something like that. Right, okay, I'm going to jump into our fourth and final story today. This is a little bit of a warning to you guys if you come to Bangkok, or Thailand rather, and I've had to clean it up a little bit so it's fit for YouTube, but I think you'll get the general idea. I wanted to share a story I have carried for 8 years, a story I kept hidden in shame, but now finally I am owning it. It is raw and real, and I think your audience will get a kick out of it, or at least learn something from it. The first time I visited Thailand was about 8 years ago. I started in Bangkok, and to be honest, it was not the dream. Just endless drinking, heavy hangovers, and not too much soul in it. After that, I headed up to Chiang Mai. It was a breath of fresh air. I loved the zip lining and felt more alive again. At that point, I was travelling with a female friend who had come with me all the way from England. She is a bit irrelevant to this story, but worth mentioning for context. Then we headed south to the islands. Koh Phangan was wild. The full moon party was unreal. Exactly the kind of chaos I was hoping for. But it was Koh Tao that gave me a night I will never forget, and not for the reasons I expected. We joined the famous Koh Tao pub crawl. There were ladyboy shows, weird, wacky, wonderful and absolutely brilliant entertainment. Later that night, completely smashed after God knows how many drinks, I noticed this stunning Thai girl dancing. We locked eyes. There was this instant spark. She was even there with her grandma, which made the whole thing even more surreal and kind of enduring. We danced, laughed, vibed. I felt like I had finally hit the jackpot. Up until that point on the trip, I had not been having much luck. Surprisingly, since I have always considered myself a fit, decent-looking guy without blowing my own trumpet too much. But in Thailand, it felt like most girls just expected you to pay, and that was not something I was interested in. I went in for a kiss, but as you know, public affection is frowned upon in Thailand. She leaned in and whispered, "Let's go for a walk. Let's go to the beach," music to my ears. As we walk, I cheekily told her, "You are not leaving me until Tuesday." It was only Saturday night. In my mind, I had absolutely scored. We found a quiet private spot on the beach. That is when she bent over and kissed me like I'd never been kissed before, and I don't mean on the lips. In that moment, I was buzzing. Everything felt perfect. Then after a couple of minutes, I went for the classic reach around. That is when I felt it, something that a woman should not possess on her body. In that split second, my mind exploded. I realised I was inside a man. But here is the insane part. I did not stop. I was too deep in the flow and too drunk. I just carried on and finished the job. Afterwards, I was completely mortified. My mind spiraled. Oh my God, what have I done? Am I gay now? What will my friends think? On top of all that, I lost my phone that night like the universe was having the last laugh at me. I stumbled back to my friend's apartment around the same time he got back. I told him everything, expecting shock and horror. Instead, he just laughed and said, "Really, Gaz? That's happened to me a few times." Somehow, that helped me to process it a bit and made me feel slightly less alone in my debauchery. Still, I carried the shame for years. I was disgusted with myself and kept it a secret. Eventually, I shared it with an on-off girlfriend. She was pretty disgusted too, but she did not leave me. Over time, I started telling it as a drunken party story to entertain people, but deep down, it still haunted me. Finally, just this week, I shared it openly on my podcast, The Next Level, podcast with Gaz Collins. From hiding it for years to telling the entire world, it felt like I finally ripped off that final layer of shame and showed me my true authentic self, whether people like it or not. If you want to hear every raw detail, every emotion and the full breakdown, go check it out on the podcast. You can watch the full episode or just the clip. It is all there. Massive shout out to Peter from Thailand Bound for recently coming on the show. That episode is shaping up to be our best yet. Thanks for giving me a space to finally share this story without filters. Looking forward to sharing even more wild truths in the future.